Am
I good?
No.
Good evening, everyone. I am Councillor Laura Binks, Mayor of Strathbogie Shire. I would like to welcome you to our ordinary council meeting of the 18th of April 2023. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the places we live, work and play. We recognise and respect the enduring relationship they have with their lands and waters, and we pay respects to elders past, present and future. Today we're meeting on the lands of the Taungurung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation, whose sovereignty here has never been ceded. We welcome people to our public gallery, although no one has arrived as of yet, and also those viewing this meeting through our live stream via the Strathbogie Shire website. This meeting is being held in accordance with Strathbogie Shire's governance rules. If we have technical difficulties during today's meeting, which means we are unable to stream the proceedings to the public, we will continue with the meeting given the public gallery is open. Voting by councillors at tonight's meeting will be held by a show of hands. If a councillor or an officer has a conflict of interest in a matter, they will be asked to leave the meeting and no discussion on the matter will commence until we are sure that they have done so. The person will then be invited to rejoin the meeting after the matter has been considered and the vote concluded. I have an apology from a regular member of our gallery, Tom Ma, who is unable to join us tonight. He was unable to make it over to Ngambie in time, so Tom wished to pass on his apologies to us. And CEO Solomon, are there any further apologies?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Yes, we have 3 apologies for this evening's meeting. We have an apology from Councillor Sally Hayes-Burke. We have an apology from Dawn Bray, Director of People and Governance, and also an apology from Kristen Favaloro, Executive Manager of Communications and Engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, are there any disclosures of conflicts of interest to be made under Rule 94 of the Governance Rules and Division 2 of the Local Government Act 2020? No. I have a conflict of interest regarding item 9.6.1 regarding my request to attend the 2023 Australian Local Government Association Conference in Canberra, and I'll be handing the chair to Deputy Mayor Murray during that item. Councillors, the minutes from the ordinary council meeting held on the 21st of March 2023 require confirmation. Can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Rayburn.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the minutes of the meeting be received and adopted. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Andrews. Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Didn't wish to speak to it, did you? Councillors, can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. And against, and to declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. CEO Sullivan, do we have any petitions to be tabled this evening?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. No, there are no petitions for this evening's meeting.
Councillors, would any of you like to make a report this evening? Deputy Mayor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by talking about a couple of things that have happened a while back, and I'm not sure. I probably should have talked about them last at the maybe at the extraordinary meeting, but I'll talk about some of them now. I'd like to say that I went to the Uriah Action Group open Uriah Community Garden breakfast on the 26th of the 3rd. It was a great gathering of a number of people who are interested in the community garden. It's going along really well. They've done lots of new planting, and I urge people to go and have a look at that one, the community garden, if you're around there. I also would like to say that I went to a official opening of the Avenel Equine Hospital on the 29th of the 3rd, which was attended by Annabelle Cleland, our local member, and quite a few other residents of Avenel and local equine people. It was a terrific event that was hosted down there. It's a great facility, and I was very impressed by the facility itself and the expansion that they've made in that area. I'd also like to mention that I went to a farewell for Jen Arnold in Avenel, who has been a long-standing community member in Avenel. She's been the president of the action group down there and has worked tirelessly over the last couple of years in that role, and has really led quite a bit of development down there and for the community. So I wish her all the best in her move to Melbourne. I'd also like to report that I went to the farewell of Kevin Priest, who's was the CEO of the Golden Valley Library group. That was held just at the end of March there, and I think it's Felicity. I forget the last name. CEO Maturian, I think maybe, who's the new CEO of the Golden Valley Library, and I welcome her to that role with a board meeting coming up on Thursday. In addition, on Thursday I have an unveiling of a plaque at the Telegraph Park down in Euroa for Charles Ryan, who was born in Colleen, was a surgeon, fought at Gallipoli, and also served with the Turkish army in the 1890s in numerous battles against the Russians in their invasion of Turkey during that period of time. Was awarded numerous medals for his service in the Turkish army, and then came back and fought in Gallipoli and also on the Western Front, and then looked after our soldiers over there during and after World War One as our chief surgeon. So there's a plaque being unveiled this Thursday at 10 a.m. At the Telegraph Park in Euroa to commemorate his service. And I'd invite any locals to come along and join in that celebration of his service to Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Murray. Is there any further reports from councillors? Councillor Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, Councillor Dixon and myself had the pleasure of going out to Bilk Winery to launch the Explorers Way tourist drive there, and it's part of the Australian Heritage Festival 2023. We'll be coming to venues throughout the Shire and throughout the state. Now, we met at the Wetlands restaurant there, which was part of the trail that went through from Major Mitchell, and Explorers Way revives the Major Mitchell bicentenary trail through the Shire from Mitchellstown to Violet Town. It then travels in reverse, and the tracks of Human Hobble returning through Euroa and Longwood to Avenel. So there's a drive and a brochure which has been produced, which is very professional and to be available at the information centres. So I would encourage the community to get behind that and have a look at those things. It'd be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Would any other councillor like to give a report? No? Okay, councillors, I've got some information to share with yourselves and the community. So as of today, on our Share Strathbogie Engagement Hub, you can vote for the public art sculpture that you would like to see for Euroa. Following an expression of interest period during March calling for artists to submit an application for this project, we're now asking the community to make the final decision, selecting a favourite sculpture from 5 options. Voting will close on Tuesday the 2nd of May at 2023 at 5 p.m. So we really encourage everyone to get on board and participate in that. We know that public art's a really big area of interest in our community. The Nature Steward program is now open for applications for all residents aged 18 years and over to learn about climate change, seasons, rocks, soil, fungi, plants and animals. As the result of this program, you'll receive the tools to become citizen scientists, conservation volunteers and advocates for nature. The program will be hosted by Council and will be facilitated by conservation experts in partnership with the Department of Energy, Environment, Climate Action and the Victorian National Parks Association. Applications for that program close on Sunday the 23rd of April, and you can find out more information and register for the course if you visit the Victorian National Parks Association website. Council is also inviting all eligible learner drivers to sign up to the L2P driver program. The Learner Driver Mentor Program assists drivers under the age of 21 years who do not have access to a supervising driver or vehicle to gain the driving experience required to apply for the probationary test. This is a free program funded by the Transport Accident Commission and by Strathbogie Shire Council in collaboration with Berry Street, Shepparton. And for more information on that one, you can visit Council's website. Next Tuesday, the 25th of April, obviously, is Anzac Day, a national day of remembrance to commemorate all Australians who served and died in the wars, conflicts and peacekeeping operations, as well as those affected by war. Violet Town is holding a 6 a.m. dawn service at the Cenotaph in the community complex on Cowsip Street, followed by a gunfire breakfast for all to enjoy and attend. At 11 a.m, the Violet Town RSL sub-branch will march and carry out a service which will take place at the same location. Euroa is also holding a 6 a.m. dawn service at the Euroa RSL lawn located off Kirkland Avenue, followed by a march and service at 10 a.m, commencing in Railway Street and finishing back at the Euroa RSL. Longwood will hold a march at 8:45 a.m, commencing at the Longwood Primary School and finishing at the Cenotaph at 9 a.m. for a service. Nagambie are commencing a march at 9:45 a.m. along High Street past the Mechanics Hall and arriving at the Cenotaph in the median strip for a service to begin thereafter. And finally, Avenel's Anzac Day service will take place at 11 a.m. at the Cenotaph in Jubilee Park. These events are inclusive and facilitated by the community for the community, and I encourage everyone to attend and take a moment to reflect on this day. As a result, in accordance with the National Public Holiday on Tuesday, council offices and all resource recovery centres will be closed for the day and will resume on Wednesday the 26th of April 2023 as per our usual opening hours. So if you have any further information or inquiries that you need, jump onto our website www.strathbogie.vic.gov.au or call the 1800 number 1800 065 993 for more information. CEO Solomon, are there any questions from the public this evening?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, yes, we have 3 questions from the community members this evening, and the first 2 questions I will answer, and neither of the authors are not in the audience, so I'll ask the question and respond on their behalf. So the first question is from Martin Hankey of MyPoll. Martin wishes to inquire in regards to the council meeting in January where permission for mini diggers to set up and run a business in Taylor's Drive, MyPoll, was denied by the council. They have not stopped and are growing using the property 7 days a week with the truck coming and going many times a day. All the earth-moving equipment has been hidden behind the existing shed, and now with no enforcement of decisions by yourselves, the council, it just runs free. Has the January decision been upheld for them to go ahead, and if so, why were we not notified, being the neighbouring properties? Can you and will you enforce your decision? The property has no residential house but just sheds. This battle to stop an industry from setting up and running in a rural residential estate has been going on for over 2 years. I believe this is why there is industrial estates for businesses like mini diggers to base themselves. Thank you for your question, Martin. Firstly, I'd like to advise that the meeting at which this matter was considered was held in November 2022. I can advise that the matter has been referred to Council's compliance team, who are currently in the process of working with the business operator to confirm timeframes for ceasing the storage of earth-moving equipment on this land. I understand that you've been in contact with a compliance officer in relation to a number of compliance matters in Taylor's Drive. Please be assured, Martin, that Council's compliance team is committed to ensuring that the notice of refusal issued on the 18th of November 2022 Council meeting for the use of land for the storage of earth-moving equipment is enforced. Thank you. The second submitters of questions are Carolyn Heaney and Aaron Heaney and Martin Hankey of MyPoll. Their question: permit number P2021052, lot 29 Taylor Drive, Maypole. Motion was not in favour and carried. The question: why has this not been enforced? Stopping businesses working from this property, cars, utes, trucks, trailers, etc. Stop business totally using this as a base. Thank you, Carolyn, Aaron and Martin, for your question this evening. In answer to your questions raised in your email, I provide the following. The matter has been referred to Council's compliance team, who are currently in the process of working with the business operator in terms of ceasing the business. If you have any further questions about this matter, please feel free to contact our compliance team directly. They are more than happy to discuss this in further detail with you. And thank you for your questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. So the third submitter of the questions is from Elizabeth Woodhouse from Euroa, and she's asked a question which is related to council and the council's position. So I'll be answering it on this occasion. So and also Elizabeth Woodhouse is not joining us, so I will ask her question first. Elizabeth Woodhouse asks, to its great credit, the Shire of Strathbogie supported the vision of the 26th of the 5th, 2017 Uluru Statement from the Heart. Question 1, what steps will the Shire be taking to support its proposal for the establishment of a First Nations voice enshrined in the Constitution? And question 2, are councillors keeping informed and have, for example, read Thomas Mayer's book, Finding the Heart of the Nation? Thank you, Elizabeth, for your questions. For question 1, I will respond. In February 2019, Strathbogie Shire voted to support the sentiments of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, the process for Aboriginal recognition and reform of the Constitution, a referendum campaign and process to enshrine a First Nations voice to Federal Parliament, and to assist in broader awareness of the need for constitutional reform by council communications, marketing and promotional avenues and display of posters and postcards, etc. in council-owned buildings. Additionally, the MOU signed with the Tangarang Land and Waters Council states in the Principles 3.1.g that we will support recognition of the Aboriginal sovereignty in the Australian Constitution. Whilst we have yet to commit to specific actions, in my capacity as Mayor sitting on Dr Helen Haynes MP's Indi Local Government Mayoral and CEO Roundtable, the matter has been raised and the federal member for Indi is working with the local government areas in the seat to support them through this process. Additionally, I'm seeking information as to what support will be offered to local government areas through our peak bodies, in particular the Australian Local Government Association and the Municipal Association of Victoria. And to answer your second question, Elizabeth, I can only speak to this item personally as I haven't had time to seek input from fellow councillors. I have read Thomas Mayer's book and I have so far participated in a number of state and national forums explaining the voice to Parliament. I will continue to seek information and participate in this important process, and thank you for your questions, Elizabeth. We'll now move to the officers' reports and page 1 of the agenda. So we move to applications received and planning applications determined, 1st to the 31st of March 2023. Director Tingay, can we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. This month we saw the Planning Department receive 15 new applications and determine 13 planning permit applications. There were a mixture of uses and developments determined during this month. There is a recommendation on page 1 of the agenda for Council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the officer regarding this item? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Director, I have a question about the applications. There's a number of them, 7 or 8 applications for development in a farming zone. Can you outline sort of the basic rules about residential development in a farming zone?
Thank you, Councillor Murray, and through you, Mayor Binks. So Yes, there has been a number of applications received this month for use and development of dwellings in the farming zone. It is that each planning permit and each planning permit application is assessed on its merit, and obviously that is aligned with the Strathbogie planning scheme and all the necessary policies that sit behind that. We do encourage applicants to have a pre-application meeting with us before they submit a planning permit application. However, that is not compulsory. So it really does depend on where the application is, the controls over the land, if there are any identifying features in a number of strategic policy positions that exist. But most importantly, each application is determined on its merit.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Are there any further questions or clarification? No, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Horgan.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to move a motion that we adopt the recommendation as written on page 1 of the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Horgan. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Horgan?
No, thank you.
Councillor Murray, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Any other councillor like to speak to the motion? No? Okay, councillors, can I put the motion to a vote? Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We move to page 3 of the agenda this evening, item 9.2.1, inquiry into the 2022 flood event in Victoria. Submission, Director Tingay. May we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. In response to the devastating October 2022 flood event, the Legislative Council Environment and Planning Committee has been tasked with investigating how prepared the state was and how it handled the flood event. Our Shire was impacted and left with significant damage and consequently a very long road to recovery. The inquiry will look at what caused and contributed to the flooding and the adequacy of and the effectiveness of the early warning systems. Further, the inquiry will look into the adequacy of the response by emergency services and whether there is adequate resources to deal with future disasters. A submission has been developed from Strathbogie Shire using information collected throughout the response to the flood event. There is a recommendation on page 3 of the agenda to note the submission that has been developed, and that submission is as an attachment to the agenda. Thank you, Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer regarding this item? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Dickinson.
I'd like to move the motion on page 3. That council note the submission to the inquiry into the 2022 flood event in Victoria.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Horgan. Thank you, Councillor Horgan. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Dickinson? Councillor Horgan.
Yes, please, Mayor Binks. So I'd like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the Strathbogie Shire Council for their tremendous effort put into completing this report. The 2022 flood event was an unprecedented challenge for all communities involved, and it continues to inflict pain and hardship on Strathbogie Shire Council, businesses and the residents that were affected by it. The comprehensive and well-articulated submission to the inquiry is a remarkable achievement, and I strongly believe that it can serve as a roadmap for better preparation and prevention of future disasters. So your dedication and commitment to the community are deeply appreciated, and your efforts are a testament to your unwavering spirit and resilience in the face of adversity. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Horgan. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion?
I was, but Councillor Horgan. My thunder. Spoke very well and very eloquently.
Yes, indeed. I could concur. Councillor Rayburn. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak?
Yes, I want to point out the importance of our local volunteer groups in terms of our response to this sort of event. And there are quite a few comments made in the submission in terms of CFA and SES responses, and I suppose also some of the limitations of that response. And it's worthwhile the community reading and reflecting on that. The SES, for example, plays an important role in terms of responding, but it is limited in terms of the number of volunteers and its ability to respond. And so I encourage members of the community to get involved in both of those organisations so that in times of adversity we can respond in an appropriate way.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. So if there being no one else wishing to speak, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. And against, and I declare that carried. And before we move on, I would just like to briefly mention, in my capacity as Deputy Chair of Rural Councils Victoria, we're encouraging everyone to participate in this flooding inquiry. It's not just for local government areas, it's for anyone that was impacted or affected, be it a business, individual. You might be a tourist trying to visit the area. It's really important that the state government hears from a wide range of people, and that that experience during the flood is captured so that they have that information and learnings, and it will influence funding decisions and opportunities for our communities going forward. So I really encourage anyone in the community to write to this submission. It doesn't need to be complex or complicated, and they do take personal anecdote and accounts of what it was, what the experience was like for you. And the submissions are open until 5 p.m. Monday the 8th of May. So I just would like to encourage people to participate in this project and process as well. Thanks. We now move to page 9 of the agenda. And item 9.2.2, the grant variation requests, 2022-2023, community grants, program funding and community action group funding. Director Tingay, can we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. This item seeks council consideration and approval to support variations to 3 community organisations to enable the delivery of community projects. One that is aligned to the Community Action Group funding 2022-23, and 2 of the projects aligned to round 1 and round 2 of the community grant funding program. Under the Community Grant Action Group funding, Avenel Active seek a variation to utilise an underspend on a previously approved project to allocate it towards funds to the Get Me to the Shops initiative, which is a community transport initiative. The Euroa Farmers Market seeks to vary to a new project, as the water hydrant station that was previously approved by council was actually completely paid for by Golden Valley Water. The new project is for the purchase of A-frames, a marquee and trestle tables. The Friends of the Nagambie Pool wish to relocate funds from the Nagambie Recreation Reserve Shed Barbecue Facility to the Nagambie Pool signage project to include new additional signage to improve visibility of the pool to residents and also visitors. Officers have reviewed the 3 variations. Officers believe that the 3 variations will still result in a community benefit and that they are consistent with the objectives of the respective funding programs, noting that there is more information required from the Friends of the Nagambie Pool for the pool signage project. In addition, as per the recommendation, officers recommend excluding the printing of brochures. We acknowledge that from time to time projects don't go as planned and circumstances can change. The requests have been proposed from the relevant community groups. There is a recommendation on both page 9 and 10 of the agenda for council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the officer regarding this item? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can we state what your motion is? Councillor Hurricane?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. I'd like to move a motion that we adopt the recommendation as it is written on page 9 and followed on to page 10 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Hurricane. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Hurricane?
I will, please. Yes. I'm speaking a lot tonight, sorry. So in my opinion, it's essential for the council as a whole to maintain a flexible and pragmatic approach in its decision-making processes. So whilst it is crucial to adhere to established rules and regulations, it's equally important to exercise common sense and practical judgment when you're assessing various issues and challenges which are faced by the community. So regarding the community grant variations, I'm in complete agreement that these variations are necessary and they should be granted whenever possible. Each community has its unique set of circumstances, its needs, its priorities, and the grant variations provide a valuable opportunity for the council to respond effectively to these demands. So by approving these variations, the council can demonstrate its commitment to supporting local initiatives, fostering innovation, and nurturing the community's growth and development. The grant variations can help to address any gaps or deficiencies in the existing grant programs, ensuring that the council's resources are allocated effectively and efficiently. So by taking a flexible and adaptive approach to community grants, the council can build stronger relationships with its community groups and the quality life of residents, promote and thriving an inclusive community for all. So I'm very much in support of doing the variation.
Thank you, Councillor Hurricane. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the item? No? Would any other councillor like to speak to the item? No? Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. And against, and declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Now moving on to page 16 of our agenda, item 9.3.1, tender for contract number 22-23-36 of flood damage rectification culvert repair, including debris removal, panel of suppliers option. Director Adamak, can we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Council has undertaken a competitive tender process for the rectification of flood damage to the culverts on our road network caused by October 22 floods. Since the start, Council have had regular update meetings with the assessor and received provisional approval to commence the immediate reconstruction works. Council met the required compliance obligations under Local Government Act 2020 and the Strathbogie Procurement Policy 2021 by undertaking formal public request for tender. The tender was released on Tender Search via the council website on 27th of January 2023. The tender was advertised Saturday, the Age newspaper, statewide reach on 28th of January 2023, Shepparton News, Benalla Ensign in the week following the release. By the close of tender at 4 p.m. on the 22nd of February, there were 2 submissions received. And there is a recommendation for your consideration on page 16.
Thank you, Director Adamak. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer for this item? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that's listed on page 16 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Dickinson. Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Only to say, thank you, Mayor, that this is part of our flood recovery efforts, and it's really important that these contracts be awarded and the flood recovery program move forward as quickly as possible, and I recommend it to my fellow councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Dickinson, would you like to speak? No? Any other councillor like to speak to the item? If that's the case, no one's wishing to speak, I'll put the motion to vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We move to page 21 of the agenda, item 9.3.2. Tender for contract number 2223-37, provision for flood damage rectification bridge repairs, package 1 with optional panel of suppliers. Director Adamak, can we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Once again, Council has undertaken a competitive tender process for the rectification of the flood damage to our bridges caused by the October 2022 flood event. Since the start, we had regular meetings and updates, and the process has been approved by the assessor. The tender was released on Tender Search via the council website on the 27th of January 2023. The tender was advertised Saturday's Age newspaper, statewide reach on the 28th of January 2023, Shepparton News, Benalla Ensign the following week. By the close of tender again on 22nd of February 2023, submissions, there were 2 submissions that had been received. There is a recommendation for your consideration on page 21.
Thank you, Director Adamak. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the officer? No. Have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Dickinson.
I'll move the motion as recommended on page 21.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Dickinson?
Just that it's pretty much a follow-on from what Councillor Murray said before about the roads and the culverts, rather. And yeah, it's flood money, and let's get into it.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to say anything?
I'd just like to compliment the staff on, when you look at the dates that the tenders went out on the 27th of January, it's only 3 months after the actual flood. It gives credit to how our staff and the emergency manager, I think from Victoria, worked so close together to get this out so quickly for us.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? No. Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. And against, and declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving to page 25 of the agenda. And item 9.3.3, contract and works awarded under delegation. CEO Solomon, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. This monthly report provides councillors in our community oversight of just the contracts of works and services that officers award under delegation. This ensures that there's transparency for our community just to understand what is being awarded and to whom, and what works are being undertaken. This month we have awarded 4 contracts under delegation. The first one being vaccination services, awarded to ensure that supports to the health and wellbeing of particularly to our children. Weed and pest management control, a panel of suppliers to ensure that we undertake the annual roadside spraying. A consultancy to develop destination management planning for the Goulburn Region Tourism Partnership between Strathbogie Shire, Shepparton City Council and Mitchell Shire. And the fourth one was just following on from the previous tender. This is flood rectification damage for bridge repairs. This is package number 2, and it was approved under delegation to move that project along because of the time critical nature of the works involved. Councillors, there is a recommendation on page 25 of the report for your consideration, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the CEO for this item? No? Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is?
Yep.
Councillor Murray, thank you, Councillor Murray.
Can I move that the recommendation on page 25 be adopted? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Yes, I note that 3 of the 4 of these contracts that have been awarded have already started, and I think it's important to note by the community that some of these are very time critical. And decisions need to be made in a timely manner when council is not meeting, and that's why the CEOs and officers have been delegated some powers in relation to awarding contracts, and I'm happy to support those that are listed here because of that.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Rayburn, no. Any other councillor like to speak to the item? No. Okay, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. Against, and declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 29 of the agenda this evening. Item 9.5.1, the monthly performance report. CEO Solomon, can we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. This again is another monthly report that we provide to council and the community just to highlight some of the performance in the key areas that we monitor, and also just tracking corporate goals and objectives and how we're moving and progressing those. I'm just going to highlight, it's quite a dense report. It has a lot of details that we provide each month, but I thought I'd just like to highlight two. First of all, the number of building activity continues to remain really steady, and which is a positive sign for our Shire, and we welcome that. And it certainly keeps our planning department quite active in that area. The other one I'd like to highlight is just moving down through the report almost to the end in terms of waste. I'd also just like to highlight that our curbside diversion rates, whilst slightly up from the March 2023 data, just continues to be strong in demonstrating our community's commitment to recycling and using our 3-bin system proactively, and just really reducing any of that cross-contamination that occurs in our bins. So just like to do a huge shout out to the community for their continued efforts in this area. So thank you. Mayor.
Thank you, CEO Salomon. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer regarding this report? If not, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is?
Thanks, Mayor Binks. I'd like to move a motion that we adopt the recommendation as it's written on page 29 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. And second, Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the item, Councillor Horrigan?
Yes, please. Yes, please, Mayor Binks. It's further on to what the CEO said. I have been tracking the customer analysis report, and because of the flood event that we've been talking about tonight, obviously the road assets customer inquiry has been coming in large, and I'm sure it's doing it for the state government as well, and not just for local council. But overtime requests is something that I think it's really great to monitor. Now, back in January, the overtime requests were at 1,069. Then in February, the team were able to move it down to 918, and now further this month, 818. So that means they're exceeding it by about just over 10%, which I think is very good considering it's hard to get contractors to fix the roads, or, you know, we may patch the roads after floods, but then we know that patching doesn't work with the rain. So I just wanted to congratulate the team on being able to get through those overtime requests, and just keep getting through them.
Thanks, Councillor Horrigan. Councillor Rayburn, did you want to speak to the item? No. Any other councillor like to speak to the item? Okay, councillors, I shall put the motion to vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour and against, and declare that carried, councillors. So the next item is the one that I have a conflict of interest in. I'm just making sure I've got the right page up here. So I have a conflict of interest in the following matter, and I will now leave the meeting, and I will hand the chair to the Deputy Mayor to act in my place. So I'll just note that I am meeting at 6:43. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn.
Very good. Thank you. So we're dealing with 9.6.1, which is a request to attend the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly of Local Government in Canberra from the 13th to 16th of June this year by Councillor Laura Binks. Are there any questions are there any questions? I'm not sure about, we ask questions, do we, of someone? Yeah. Are there any questions that need to be asked by any councillor?
Please,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor. Through you, Deputy Mayor, and perhaps the CEO can answer this. Can you just elaborate a little bit on the benefit of a mayor attending this event in Canberra?
Thank you for your question, and through you, Deputy Mayor. The benefits of the Mayor attending ensures that we do have a representation at this ALGA conference. It's the annual conference where local government representatives right across Australia attend. It's held in Canberra and there is the opportunity to have delegations to meet with ministers or all their advisors. So it's a really great opportunity to not only learn about what's happening across the sector, it's a great opportunity to network with other local governments to see what's happening and their councils, but it's also a great opportunity to progress our advocacy campaigns in Canberra in person. So it really does have benefits for our Shire, for the Mayor to attend.
Thank you.
CEO, I was probably remiss of not asking you if you had a summary of the report to start off with, but is that your summary?
I think we've got it covered.
I think you've got it covered. Very good. So, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Rayburn.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Murray. I'd like to move the recommendation which is printed on page 50 for council's adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Horrigan. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I was just following up on what the CEO has just spoken about. This is a very, very good opportunity for any mayor of any shire to go into Canberra with their local members, the federal members, to try and advocate for their local areas, especially with us coming out of the flood and trying to seek further funding to assist us to go to build our roads even better and our footpath networks. But it's also just a great opportunity to meet the federal members who would be in Parliament at this time, because usually sometimes during the year you don't have that opportunity to be able to go to Parliament House and actually meet the federal members, and this is a great opportunity for our local mayor and councillor to be able to do that for us.
Thank you very much to the mover. And the seconder, does they wish to speak to the motion or reserve your right?
Reserve my right. Thank you.
Does any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, does the seconder wish to speak to the motion? Does the mover wish to exercise their right of reply? Councillors, I now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. CEO will call the mayor back in. 6:47.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Murray, for chairing the meeting in my absence. So that was the last item on the agenda, and I'm CEO Solomon. Are there any notices of motion, notices of rescission, urgent business or confidential business to conduct this evening?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. No, there are no items that you've just mentioned for tonight's business. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. So, councillors and community, the next monthly meeting of the Strathbogie Shire Council is scheduled to be held on Tuesday the 16th of May at the Euroa Community Conference Centre, commencing at 6 p.m. There being no further business, I declare that